We're good.
All right. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending on where you are. West
Yeah.
Coast, East Coast.
It's still morning East Coast, girl.
Well, I guess that's true. Barely. You're kind of sliding in there.
Yeah.
If we have people in Europe
Okay.
or
Yes.
Australia, maybe watching. Anyways,
I've been there and it's amazing.
I do have someone from Spain who watches us regularly. Hi, Zan.
Ooh, hi,
So
Sam.
it's definitely afternoon there.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
So we are super excited because we were just together in person. So if you
I
watched
know.
last week, you saw us actually together in the same room. It was so
I
much fun.
know. It was a
Such a
blast.
whirlwind.
And
It
I
was
wish
fun.
you were still here.
I know.
When I dropped you off at the airport, I couldn't think about the fact that you were leaving. And so I just was like, it's not. Apparently I don't do farewells very well.
Well, it was such a whirlwind. I mean, I was telling the kids we were literally shooting video up until the moment I left for the airport.
We were. We were, and it was fun. That was one of my favorite parts when we got to go. You got to have a
Yes.
Chiberg, Jen.
A Chiberg, y'all, that is amazing. And they didn't
She
even have the
said,
banana
y'all.
to put in it. I
And
know.
you said, y'all. Yeah, we rubbed off. Absolutely. So it's like literally Christmas and Thanksgiving dancing in your mouth. It is a cold chai
It's
tea
fantastic.
that I can't
It
eat.
was
It's not,
really good.
it's a slushy. It's a slushy.
Yeah. 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 It's kind of like maybe a chai tea milkshake. I don't know what they use. Is there dairy in
Oh,
it? I don't know what there is in there, but
I don't know.
it's
I
like
don't think I want to know.
spicy, kind of eggnoggy, but not in a bad way, but in a good
Yes.
way. You know, if you don't like eggnog, you could still really like a chai bird because it's got the spices. See, Zan says hi.
Hi,
Told you
Sam.
somebody from the afternoon part of the world is here.
Yes. He needs to come to Kentucky and have a Chiberg.
Yeah, it was really fantastic, and it was fun. I mean, it was just so nice to be, in the Midwest where there are seasons. Like, I was really enjoying that. I left California, it
Mhm.
was 106 when I left. So, it was
That was
pretty
not
nice to
106
go.
here.
No, 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 especially that early morning ride around the farm. It was like 45 degrees, but it was
Yes, you gotta
lovely.
ride around the farm. And I was sharing before we went live, Jen was like family because not before we did the video, I said, "Hey, do you want to go to a soccer game?" She's like,
That's right.
"Yeah."
Awesome.
And you were
Yes.
a good luck charm because my oldest had his first 2 this year goals in a
It was
game.
so fun.
And you were there.
It was so fun. I love that. I mean, my kids are older, they're young adults now. And I mean, the craziness of when they're in the elementary age, I mean, I love it, I miss it, and I also don't miss it.
No, I don't know. I'm in it and I don't know how I feel about it,
Yeah.
but
So it's kind of fun to come be, like we were saying, I can come be the fun aunt, I can enjoy, I can have fun, and I don't have the day-to-day responsibility of getting
yeah,
all the pieces everywhere.
all the things. Today is book
Yes.
fair day, which is relevant
Oh,
to
that's
our
the
chit chat.
best.
It is, but
Book
here's the
fair's the best.
deal. The kiddos came home yesterday and said my oldest goes, "Mom, I have like $91 of things." And I'm like, "Great, you don't get $91 of stuff." And so, and you can buy it online too. So they each went to school with a $20 bill of their own. And I said, "Buy
Nice.
something today. And then when you come home, mama and daddy will get you all something too." But book fair day is like, it just is so nostalgic for me. It's like my favorite
Mhm.
time of the school year ever.
Yes,
Ever.
I feel that way so much. I remember coming home and having the little like newspapery thing, and you would mark on the things that you liked and, take it and how much. Yeah, I only had a budget, little budgets. You had to figure out what you could get, what you couldn't get.
It was
It's the
wonderful.
best. It's such a wonderful way to introduce children to
Mhm.
reading, to get them excited about reading.
Agreed.
I mean, that lifelong love of books will serve you no matter what. It does not matter what you do with your life.
Right.
Being able to read and experience, it's one thing that I shared this weekend when we were together at the speaker event was that,
Mhm.
when you are in story, your
Yes.
brain feels like it's in the story. It casts itself as the protagonist. It enters the story. I mean, when you watch a movie or you read a book, like how
Mm.
many of us have been moved to tears or we've laughed or, we have all the emotions
Yep.
and it's because our brain
Yep.
puts ourselves in that story.
Mhm.
And that's a fantastic tool to be able to understand other
Mhm.
people's perspectives, to be able to communicate information. As I said, this is how culturally and historically, we have
Mm,
conveyed important information is through story.
absolutely.
So we have
Absolutely.
every culture has stories that maintain its own culture, how to
Exactly.
behave in this culture. So we have,
Exactly.
Aesop's fables, right? So we talk
Mhm.
about the boy who cried wolf. All you
Yeah.
have to do is say that. It's like a little shorthand. We all know what that means. We don't have to go into a long
Mhm.
explanation of, don't fake out people and pretend that you're hurt and then not really be hurt,
Mhm.
because then when you are really hurt, nobody's going to pay attention to you. Like,
Right. Right.
we just all know the story, and so we're able to
Right.
talk about that. And Jesus taught in parables, and
Yes.
every single culture has story that they pass on to maintain their culture, their heritage, their values, all of those important things. And so that actually leads really well into our topic for today.
It does. And before you dive in with your brilliance, I want the world to know as they're listening. When we got together this past week and we had really immersive 2 days with you and me, another day before and a half a day and half day. So 3 days.
Mhm.
But we really got a deep dive into evaluating your target audience and how
Yes.
can you reach them. And I had so much fun with everybody. I have a lot of fun with you, Jen, because we've known each other for a long time and we've not had the ability to discuss your business in this way. But
Yeah.
here's something that I thought was brilliant, and I'm so excited we're talking about it today. As the author of so many books, and many of which are fiction, you literally are in the business of storytelling.
I
Like
know.
that
I
is
am.
it. And yet businesses need stories to
Yes.
connect with people. And that
Yes.
is how you do it. People buy from people. They don't buy a
Hmm.
product. They buy the solution that the product gives that a person told them that they need. And so
Right.
I'm so excited to learn from you, both in your perspective of how you create story as a fiction author and how a business
Hmm.
myself can leverage that to deepen
Yes.
connections too. So today, we have 5 questions that you use in writing a book, but also that could be really beneficial for businesses.
Really, any kind of content. And before we move on, the mugs. We actually have matching mugs. So
Cheers,
exciting.
girlfriend.
Cheers. There's a
I
little
needed a
stack of
drink
books on
anyways.
the
I
side.
know. Now we have our Beyond the Page mugs.
I
They're
love it.
so
So
this was
fun.
a little gift. I had no idea it was coming. And Jen goes, ooh, 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 ooh. And she came over with the bag, and I'm like, what is this cool thing? I was
It
so
was fun.
excited.
We had a
It was
good time. I've got this is the time of the year where the sun just peeks in through the blinds and casts all these little lovely sparkles all over my face. So depending on how I move, I look like I'm
you look beautiful.
being
Beautiful.
blessed. I've got a whatever. So we'll see.
Yes.
We'll see how I it'll change in like 2 minutes.
Sure.
So I think this is one of the things that, and this was what I would say was so helpful when you do an intensive like this. And we're doing more of them. So stay
Mhm.
tuned, because there's really, really powerful about getting with a small group
Yeah.
and with people who have the ability to reflect into things you don't even really you take for granted in your business.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
one of the things that Stephanie kind of pulled out from me was, and to me, I was like, well, of course. And she was,
Like
no, everybody
that.
does not know that.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
know.
exactly this whole idea that, you need storytelling in your nonfiction, in your business.
Yeah.
Every piece of content that you
Yeah.
put out, actually, there are 5 questions you need to answer in every single piece of
Yep.
content you put out: blog post, Instagram post, long form content, your sales page on your website. You need to answer these, and they're storytelling questions. So I talk about them in my Eat the Elephant book, which, seems like it would be a fiction book, and it really is geared towards fiction writers. But as I tell people,
Mm.
everything in here applies to nonfiction as well. You
Yeah.
cannot have a dry recitation of facts and
No.
expect people to get all excited about that. They're just
No.
not going to, because, like, as exactly as you said, people buy from people. That's why, on Instagram and TikTok, you have these influencers, right? People who are
Yeah.
influencing other people, because why don't they just put up a picture of their product and expect you to buy it? No, they want you to see a person using it who's excited, that you can relate to, so you can buy from them. And then your words can
Yes.
do the same thing. So,
Marilyn put in the comments, Jen, she just chimed in. I think it's brilliant that story is also important to movements, social movements, political movements. Like,
yes,
if you really
so
think about
true.
it, every day of your life is a page in your own storybook.
Yes.
Story is what drives everything. everything. And fiction authors like you, Jen, are the best at understanding that because it is the crux and the beauty and the cornerstone and everything of how you tackle life, how you tackle your work, and how you can help people do the same.
Yeah, it's very true. That's how we understand other people's stories, life experiences. You know, you can hear about experiences kind of in the abstract and go, oh, wow, that's really too bad that these people go through
Mhm.
this difficult thing. But when you
Mhm.
zoom in on one person's story and you
Mhm.
see every single step by step as they go through, again, because your brain is going to cast yourself into that story, you're going to have that emotional connection with them.
Yes.
And once you have that emotional connection, that's extremely powerful. You think about the brands that you love. You know, I know you love Lush bath
I was
bombs,
about to
right?
go there. Yes, yes,
Love
yes.
those. Yes. And there are people, we had a funny little running joke over the weekend about Apple products and about Canon versus Nikon. And so, right, people get into
Yeah.
their little camps over certain products.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so, you know, you have people that Coke versus Pepsi, right? Whatever, right? Pick a thing. And
Exactly.
there are people who love it and there are people who hate it.
Yes.
And that is that kind of emotional engagement. And you think it's
Yes.
this is so silly. Why are we all emotional over this camera versus that camera? They do the
And the
same
same
thing,
thing. The same
right? But
thing.
we're like we are like
Yes.
you don't switch camps like
No,
people
you
don't do that,
don't.
right? And
I was
so
timid today when Kerrigan on the team came in, and I was about to tell her that last night, Jen, I spent too much time for me to articulate organizing how I save documents on my Mac, and I told her that is
mhm.
one thing that irritates me about how Mac does things. It's not like my PC, but I was nervous to tell her because she is not a Mac girl, and I did not want her to add that into her Mac story, like because
So
I
she
love
doesn't
me some
like,
Apple.
yes, yes, I have
Yeah.
definitely been drinking the apple Kool-Aid since 1986.
I love it.
Yes, I've had an Apple Macintosh since 1986. It was my high school graduation present, and now y'all know how old I am.
And I'm not gonna talk about how old I was at that point, Jen. We're not going there.
Quite young.
Yeah. Yeah, mhm.
Not even in school yet, I bet.
Oh, no, I was barely talking, if any.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's embarrassing.
No, it's good. It's all good.
It's
It's all
beautiful.
good. So there are 5 questions, and I'm gonna run through them, but we're gonna just concentrate on one this week, and then we're gonna
Mhm.
talk about each one of those
Yeah.
each session this week because there's a lot to it. So the 5 are, and we could actually put these in the comments. Whose
Hmm.
story is it? Or if you pick up Eat the Elephant, they're on
Yes.
page. I know Zan and Marilyn both have it. They are on page. Oh, there's no page numbers. That's fantastic. How'd that happen? I don't know what page they're on. They're on some page that has no page number. This is my own marked up copy, so that's why it's a mess.
It's a proof. It's your proof.
Yes, it's a mess. Oh wait, there are page numbers. They're just not on that page. Why is that page? Oh, because that's front
The
matter.
title.
That's
Yeah.
why it's in the front matter. So never mind. That's why I was
Never
a
mind.
little
You're gonna just
panicky
tell
there.
us.
Yes. So whose story is it? Okay, this is one we're going to be focusing on today, and we've kind of talked around it a little bit. But
Yeah.
whose
Whose story?
story is it? Okay.
Yeah.
What's happening? What is the issue here? What's going on? What is the situation? We're going to talk about that. What's at stake? So we could just continue on with our
Yeah.
lives, la di da di da, right? It doesn't matter unless something is at stake. So you have to talk about what are the stakes. Why do your readers need to go on this journey at this
Yeah.
particular time? What will happen if they don't? What's the lie? There's always a lie. This is the
Mhm.
problem. This is the thing that your customer, your character,
Mhm.
they believe, and you are going to correct that lie. You are going to give them the truth that will set them
Mhm.
free. And
Mhm.
then what's the theme? And again, this is the overall, beyond just what's happening, this is why does it matter?
Mhm.
What's the importance here? So we're gonna parse all those out. I call those in storytelling. I call those are the big rocks. So
Mhm.
you can see that even if you're just doing a short social media post,
Mhm.
you can hit those things in a couple sentences,
Yeah,
right?
you can. Yeah.
Um, so let's see, let me make these up. So I have these lovely little earrings. You really can't see them because
I was noticing them, Jen. They're really beautiful.
they're green plaid. Can't really tell because they're kind of washed out.
Ooh.
one of my daughter's friends makes them. Her company is called Lily and Sparrow Clay, and she makes the most adorable polymer clay earrings. So all sorts of
Beautiful.
fun ones. I wore them in the shot. I just every time she gets more, I just like, oh, they're so cute. I have to buy lots of them. Okay, so if I was going to write something for her product, I might talk a little bit about the story. Whose story is it? That would be her ideal customer. I
Yeah.
am not actually her ideal customer. Her ideal customer is my daughters and their friends, but they're just so cute. I can't help it.
You
And
because ideal customer, Jen, like I don't mean to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
She needs to have her ideal customer. Other people can come in. But if
Yes,
you are
absolutely.
unapologetic on who your ideal customer is,
Yep.
you will reach them. If you try to reach
Yes.
all the people, you will reach no one. Okay, sorry.
That's so true, right? So these are called the Emily Gilmores. She did a whole line based on Fall in Stars Hollow. So if you were a Gilmore Girls fan, you would relate to every single name of earring because they were all named after characters in there. In fact, there was the Babette, which are little kitty head earrings with little flowers in them. They were adorable, and she sold out before I could get them.
She's make more. Decision made.
Make more. Yes. So she knows her ideal audience loves the Gilmore Girls, even though they probably weren't even born when it ran the first time, right?
Yep.
When Gwen stays with us, she's my daughter's friend, and when she comes home and has the Gilmore Girls on, that's like her comfort TV show. So
is Gwen who makes these?
No, Christine is the one who makes them. Christine lives in Virginia. Gwen lives here.
Okay.
So
I'm connecting the dots of names.
Yes, connected. I know there's lots of young adults in my life.
It's okay.
So Christine has a good idea, partly because she's her own audience, but she has a really good idea of what her audience loves. So they love the Gilmore Girls, right? So that's part of the story. The story is we're nostalgic for the Gilmore Girls. We love that environment. And so when I name my jewelry after characters in this TV show, you are going to go, oh, I have to have that because I resonate with that. Like it's that emotional.
Jen, right? I have to interrupt you and tell you what's happening right now in the office.
What's happening?
What's happening? Kerrigan, who is a part of the Empower PR Group team, is likely the perfect audience.
Yes.
And she is over here Googling and falling in love with the earrings.
Yeah. Yes.
She's like, I love Gilmore Girls.
See?
I love earrings.
Perfect.
So like right there, she knew her
Kerrigan's
people.
the perfect audience for that, right?
Yeah. And she's and I'm over here looking at them now. Like,
and so what Christine does, she does Instagram. She probably also does TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. And she shows herself making the earrings, and she asks the little polls. Should I do this color or this color? Do you like this? Do you like this? Right? She's very much in tune with her audience. Yes, it helps that it is her age group. Sure. But it does, you can do that. You don't have to be in your age group to identify with that. There is some sort of emotional connection there regardless. But you need to know who you are telling the story to and who is the main character. So Don Miller, who does story brand marketing, he is famous for saying, you are not the hero. Your customer is the hero. And so that's whose story it is. Your customer, whoever you're writing your blog post for, whoever you're writing your content for, whoever you're writing your book for, they are the hero. And so the interesting thing about fiction is that your reader and your character can both be the hero because your reader, again, is going to identify with the character and cast himself in that.
That's true.
But it's true in nonfiction and with product and any of that kind of stuff. You absolutely have to know who your target audience is because they are the hero and it is their story.
They are. Okay. So I want to add a marketing twist to that because you're correct. I always tell people when you're writing a book, and I focus in the nonfiction space, so I don't get to talk about fun heroes and non-heroes, although I might now, Jen, I always say there's two drafts to your book. There's draft one that you write for you and draft two you write for your target reader. And that's where the pivot happens. But going to your daughter's friend, Christina, I want to add the caveat in this story. She's the target audience, so that does help. And not all of us are. Most of us actually are not our target audience. Most of us would not buy from us.
Right.
because we know how to do it. We don't, we're not the right people.
Right.
But I want you to think, when you think about your target audience, whether it's your entrepreneur business, your book reader, what have you, it's good to know who it is, but it's also good to know who's going to buy it. So
Yes.
her target audience with the earrings may be a certain age demographic, but if they don't buy it, that business isn't successful. So that
Right.
story, they might love the
Yes.
story, but they're not going to take action to purchase. So it's as much
Yeah.
about understanding the audience and talking to them as it is about knowing who's going to purchase and what their purchase threshold is.
Yes, that's a really, really good point. And actually, I'll show your book because I have your book here too. So,
You're so sweet.
ta-da. So I would say in this book though, you have just you know
Mhm.
whose story this is. This is the
Mhm.
story of the authorpreneur
Yep.
and their journey, and you
Mhm.
totally take them on a journey through writing a marketable book, figuring out what their marketing pillars are, what their platform's going to be, developing that plan, and going all the way through. So you did. I think this is the thing that makes what this work is, that a lot of times we actually
Mhm.
intrinsically know this. It's
Yeah.
like it's built into us. We know it.
Yeah.
We don't always have the language to go around it. And so
Yes.
what I find is a lot of people are like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how, whatever. And having these 5 questions gives you a structure
Mhm.
for knowing how you're going to approach your content. And so
Can
you
I
actually already
also,
did it.
because you are so kind to acknowledge my book. Thank you, Jen. And thanks for being a part of the team that brought it to life.
It's so fun.
I was so much fun. We should do it again after I forget how painful it was. Then we'll do another one. I think we came up with like 5 more books while you were here. I
Yes.
did. But one of the things I want to share in regards to story is when you are writing, and I'm thinking specifically in the nonfiction space, people remember the stories. So
Yes.
if you have 3 things you tell people to do, they might remember the 3 things if it's connected to a story.
Right.
So I'm a big believer in leveraging stories to, to share obviously your brand, your message, your skills, your value, your knowledge, and do it in a way that's memorable for people. It's also a beautiful opportunity in storytelling to attract and repel the right people. So I remember, and you know this because I texted you like middle of the night one day before the book came out. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody said I tell too many stories and it's not academic enough. And Jen's like, not your reader. And I'm like, you are right.
Right.
Because if you're looking for an academic marketing book, you need to go to college and get it there.
This ain't it.
This is not it, because I don't want, and my target reader, my target client gets overwhelmed by that. And I want to cut back the overwhelm, and story makes it feel like you can just move forward. So story is beautiful with that and allowing you to attract the right people and repel the wrong ones.
Yes, that's exactly right. And again, that goes to knowing who your, oh, look at that. You can
do it, Jen. I love that.
You can put comments on the screen.
I know, it's a new thing. I just learned to. So here's the 5 questions.
There
I
we
love
go.
it.
I was just going to
What's happening.
copy
That's great.
and paste that into LinkedIn, because apparently when I posted it here, it did not. Okay. Keep talking while I'm typing.
That is wonderful. Well, again, going back to the power of story, people buy from people. And Jen, speaking about our event, I have to share a little bit about one of the other attendees who gave me permission there to do something that I had sometimes forget, and I want to give permission to those watching and listening today or later, is, when we talk about story and you get hung up and stressed out about story, sometimes the worry becomes that you don't think your story is worth it. You don't think your story is any better or any different than somebody else, whether why you created your business, your entrepreneur business, why you're writing this book, your book story, all of that. But this particular author shared a very vulnerable experience she had on the top of a mountain while she was at a retreat, to kind of like realign herself, and said that she had someone look her straight in the eyes and make the comment that your story matters, and you are the only you in this world.
Yes.
And that will ever be. And so when you don't share your story, you are not fulfilling what you are called to do. You are the only you, and only you can accomplish this. So that was a very freeing feeling when I heard her share that with me. And I'm thinking those that are listening today or later might also find that freeing, because don't worry about if you think someone else has already written or talked about that or whatever. You are the only you.
It's
And you're
so
the only
true.
one
And
with
I
all
tell
those experiences. Mhm.
yes, people will say, well, someone's already written a book on that topic. Yes, somebody's already written a book on every single topic. There
Everything.
is literally nothing new under the sun, but
No.
nobody has told it the way you would tell it, with your experience, with your voice, with your take
Yes.
on it. And someone will respond to that and to your way in a way that they wouldn't to some of these other books.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so if you've ever read, and we all, if you're into a subject, right, you read all the books on it.
Yes.
And so you'll know there are different books that will overlap with some of the same content. Some of it will be different, but
Yeah.
sometimes an author will say something a certain way, and you're like, yes,
That's your
that's
aha.
it. That makes sense. Like I've heard that before,
Absolutely.
but not in that way. And now all of a sudden I
Absolutely.
get the pieces fall together. You can be that for somebody
Exactly.
else. And that is
Yes.
when that's why whose story is so important, because you will speak to a certain group of people that are going
Mhm.
to hear your story in the way that they can receive it, and they may not get that from anybody else. And if you don't share that, then they miss out.
They
Like the
missed
world
out.
totally misses out on what you have to say.
So you
And
have
that's
a
sad.
story, your business and your book are a part of it, but when you are trying to change the world and make an impact, the real story is the fact that you have an impact on somebody else and their
Yes.
story and the shaping on that. And I love how this first question in your 5 question of rocks, I'm thinking of the vase where you throw in the rocks.
The
And if
big
you
rock.
do all of the things, the shiny object things before you put your 5 ones in, you don't have
Mhm.
room. There's no
That's
room for the
right.
big rocks. So you've got to focus
Very
on the main
true.
things. And this is pivotal, knowing that your story matters and is worthy and worth it, knowing that the reader has a story that and the reason you picked a book as a conduit to share your story is because you want to make an impact on the reader. It's not because you just
Yeah.
want to hear yourself talk. You know that because you're not talking about them.
Right.
You don't want to hear yourself being read to, right? Like you want
Hmm.
to change somebody. And
Yeah,
so make sure that the
absolutely.
story here is really that there is somebody out there that needs what you bring.
Absolutely. That's so true. And honestly, you'll probably find that if you said this to yourself and
Yeah.
you needed it for yourself, that somebody else out there needs to hear it too. It's amazing. And this is
Mhm.
one of the really cool things now with all of the
Yes,
publishing
absolutely.
options that we have. You don't have to have a huge platform. You don't have to have a huge established market, that something called the long tail, right? And
Yeah.
so because you have small amounts of people all over the world that'll be interested in what you have to say together, they make a really nice aggregate. But
Mhm.
you don't have to have them all located in one area. You're not limited
No.
to just the people in your own town or your own area within driving distance or any of that. You have
Yeah.
a much bigger reach now with technology, and that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So we should take
Yes.
advantage of that and say the
Yes.
thing that's on your heart that you need to say so you can change somebody else's life.
Embrace the good of technology, the not so good.
Right.
Embrace the fact
It's
that,
a tool.
we are yeah, it's a tool. We're an interconnected world and you can really make big impact.
It's
You
very
can make
true.
a really big impact. Oh my gosh, Jen. Okay, so I love this. And so next week we're going to talk about the what's happening in
What's
your list of
happening?
questions. What's
Yes.
happening? Thank you for taking us on
Yeah.
this journey of eating the elephant. My daughter, I think I told you the other day, my daughter during our evening devotional curled up on the bed with me the other night and goes, "Guess what, Mom?" And I'm like, "What, Lindy?" She goes, "When you get overwhelmed, you just eat elephants." And I'm like, "Oh, we eat elephants." I said, "How do you do that?" She's like, "One bite at a time." And it was just beautiful to
So
remember.
cute.
And that, Jen, is a story. Eat the elephant is a story, just
It
like
is.
the boy that cried wolf.
It is. It is. It's a way of thinking. And the question is, who is the hero in that story? It's not the elephant.
It's not the elephant. Oh, I don't
It's
want
the
to be the
person.
elephant.
No, don't be the elephant. Be the person eating the elephant. Oh,
You
goodness.
never
We are
know where
so
we're gonna
funny.
go.
You never know where it's going to go. Well, we will continue this discussion next week with what's happening. I'm very excited to move through these 5 big rocks with you. And I want to remind everyone, your story matters. You matter, and your message matters. And we invite you, as always, to take your message to the page and beyond. So join us here every week as we talk about all things books, with book writing, book marketing, and you never know whatever else we're going to talk about.
And
So,
elephant eating. That was
and
today.
elephant eating today. So have a great, great week, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye,
All right.
guys.
Bye bye.